as Paul spoke of it in the book of Corinthians, the 15th chapter, where it talks about the changing in the twinkling of an eye. So anyway, let me read on. So it says, cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end. Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully. All right. So whenever you find yourself in a rut, take it cheerfully. Be cheerful. And really, it tells you in the book of Hebrews. Paul spoke of it, man. The Lord chastises those that He loves. So basically, if you don't, it's like a parent. If a parent doesn't, well, now you can't even do that. But if a parent doesn't hit their child, right, when they do something wrong, then basically that means they lack love, because it tells you that he that spareth the rod basically will have trouble with that child in the latter days, basically, all right? Loosely paraphrasing, the book of Sirach, the 30th chapter, you can read that. It tells you about it. But it says in verse 4, it says, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully and be patient when thou art changed to a lower state. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace. Let me read that again. Actually, let me read that part again. It says, and be patient when thou art changed to a lower state. So the word patient, that means to suffer. All right. So when you're at a lower state, basically suffer it. Just eat it. Hold your L when you're at a lower state. Verse 5 says, for gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. So Sirach took the example of gold. Like when you want to purify gold, if you go through the whole process of basically getting 24 karat gold, what you do is you go through mining, right? Where you basically mine a land that's known for having gold, and then you basically take the dust of that ground, and you have to rinse it, and then you have the gold particles. But in order for you but when you see the gold, when it initially is taken, what you find is it has dross on it, all right? Dross basically meaning it isn't purified. It has impurities basically, which the impurities need to be done away with by going through a process of purification. Which has to go through a period of a process of purification by way of putting it through the fire, basically. All right. So anyone, you can just Google that online. If you look for the purification process of gold, it'll basically tell you that gold is purified by going through a furnace of fire. That's how it goes from looking like unpurified, having its impurities, going to looking like the shiny gold that you have in this day and age that people have for jewelry, right? If you have a Rollie, a day, 24 karat, you don't get out the ground. The gold don't look like that when it comes out the ground. It has to go through a process, right? And it's the same for men, acceptable men. They have to go for a process. They might not look like much, all right? But then when they go through that purification process, they look to blinged up, all right? And let me even show that. First, I'm going to read Jeremiah, the 9th chapter. Oh, man. Can't find it. But I'm going to read Isaiah instead. But basically, the Lord said He'll get thee unto great men. Right? I'm sure it's in the book of Jeremiah, man, 9th chapter. Check properly.
family. But then don't forget the family time, who's still in focus, that's it.
Salakia, man. I want the scripture. No, it's here somewhere. Alright, can't find it. Nonetheless, I'll move to Isaiah 14, the 13th chapter. So this so the book of Isaiah 13. Alright, Isaiah 13 and 12 it says, I'll make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than a golden wedge of Ophir. Okay? And that's basically speaking about the elect men of the nation of Israel. Right? That's what the Heavenly Father's talking about. He's saying that he's going to basically make a man more. And the way that happens, they have to go through the finding pot. Right? I believe it tells you in the book of Proverbs, the 15th chapter, basically that Lord, like gold is like made in. Have to bear with me, man. I want to get these precepts. Gold is tried in the finding pot. You know what? I'll leave it. Anyway, so yeah, Sirach, the 2nd chapter, and verse 5, I'll read it again. It says, for gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. So what you find is you always find with all the men of the Lord, that basically they go through something before they get to being the men that they were. For example, it tells you about King David. Before David fought Goliath, everyone looked at him like a little child, like a stripling. But the thing is, they didn't know he was a shepherd, and basically he was fending his the flock of his pasture, basically by way of fighting off lions, all manner of beasts and whatnot. They didn't know that, all right? But that was the Lord. The Lord don't just happen overnight. Lord he can't do that. Don't get twisted. But a lot of the time with his great men, what he does is he puts them through a trial of their faith, basically. All right. So I read on verse 6. It says, "Believe in him, and he will help thee. Order thy way aright and trust in him. Ye that fear the Lord, wait for his mercy, and go not aside, lest ye fall." All right. So basically, that's showing the other side of the coin. Basically, you gotta just, whatever you're going through, just firm it, get through it. The Lord put you through it for a reason, right? But a lot of people, they don't see the goodness in these things that are gonna happen later on down the line. Because why? They don't have the eyes to see, the ears to hear. The Lord gave the men that he gave the vision to see these things, so that they'll bear with it and go through the trials and tribulations. So reading on, it says, verse 7, it says, ye that fear the Lord, wait for his mercy, and go not aside, lest ye fall. Ye that fear the Lord, believe in him, and your reward shall not fail. Ye that fear the Lord, hope for good, and for everlasting joy and mercy. Alright? Verse 10, it says, look at the generations of old, and see, did ever any trust in the Lord, and was confounded. Right? Anyone that ever trusted in the Heavenly Father wasn't confounded. Alright? That's the reality. So it says, or did they abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? Right? He never did despise no one that called upon him. So that's why it says, read this. Says this is Sirach 17 and 10. It says, and the elect shall praise his holy name, right? Because the elect are going to get his name and they're going to be a praise unto him, right? That's why that's said. So with that, man, I pray you were edified. Until next week, man, keep enduring. No, everything's going down. We're in this is the last stretch, man. 2020 is more or less done. 2021, it stands to be a crazier year than this year. If you can see it, man, with the Brexit on the rise and all these things, hey, a lot of people don't know. They're hoping that 2021 gets better, but it's going to be worse than this year. So, stay up. Shalom.